Hello, everyone. Welcome to Collage as Meditation, a series where I'm going to take you through my collage process as I ponder about words and ideas and spiritual principles, and we hopefully enter flow state together. It is my hope that if you feel inspired, you might grab some paper and glue to join me during this process. I am going to be meditating on the word imperfection today. And I want you to view this process as an invitation. Every time we sit at our desk to make art, it is an invitation to learn more about ourselves and, as an extension, more about the universe as a whole. The art making process is sacred and important, and in a world that begs us to move fast and with purpose, as defined by capitalism, I think that slowing down and making some art for ourselves is a powerful thing to do. Today I am meditating on the word imperfection. Imperfection as it applies to our creative practice, imperfection as it applies to our daily lives, and imperfection as the idea that we can move forward in the world without having to hold back because we are scared to get things wrong. I've had a lot of time in my life where I have allowed comparison to take control of my mind, where I've thought that I needed to perform the way that others do, and where I have tried to apply the rules that others have in their creative practice to my own. And it has ultimately led to more depression and more anxiety and less art making. I'm a process artist, so it's important to state here that I really think that it's not about the outcome of what we make. I make a lot of bad art. I make a lot of art that I'm not proud of. As a practice of letting things go, I try to share a lot of it as it gets made because I'm trying not to be precious about it. And it allows me to shake off this feeling of impending doom about not trying to achieve perfection. I don't think I've ever had any instance in my life where I've actually done something perfectly, but even though I know in my logical brain that we are human and we are imperfect, I still find myself wanting to show up that way. So as I'm sitting at my desk today, I am simply gathering images from some old magazines I bought at the library. They were attempting to clear out some of their old magazines from the previous year. I also have some painted papers and just an assortment of papers. And I have some packaging from an old sponge that it was kind of fun. And I tore off the colored portion of that off the top of it. I am going to save the bottom portion because one of the things I found that I really enjoy and like in art, especially the more abstract art that I tend to work on, is the tears and the mistakes or perceived mistakes where, the pages are frayed or they look like they've been cut or crumpled up or something like that. It actually ends up being somewhat, I don't want to say perfect, but that seems like the perfect word here. It almost seems to be serendipitous that my dog ended up getting a hold of some papers and I rescued them. And so I have some magazine papers that have been crumbled up by our puppy. And I enthusiastically saved them, excited to use them, and I actually use a couple in this collage today. So as I said, this process is an invitation, and I want to invite you to make art of any kind at this moment, but I highly encourage you, especially if you are someone who doesn't make a lot of art, to try out collage, simply because it can help break down some barriers if you are not somebody who commonly finds themselves doing things like painting or drawing. It helps us move past that inner critic voice that so many of us struggle with, that so many of us gave up making art for, because we heard our inner critic saying things like, that's not good, that doesn't look like this. And it is so easy and fun to embrace the mistakes that can come up when you're using things like found images and old papers, and you're cutting and ripping and gluing things down, and it just leads to a very fun and liberating process. And I truly think that this is one of the best forms of meditation that I have ever tried. Another thing I want to encourage you to do if you decide to collage is to also keep an eye out for any words that pop out on book pages or on magazines that you can cut out and include in your collage. Sometimes I am not working with magazines. I have a lot of painted papers as well. And so this could mean scribbling down a word that feels important in that moment. And I don't want the idea that it has to make sense or tell a story to stop you from including what comes up for you in the moment. We really need to just surrender to the tactile sensations that come up during this process of ripping and cutting and gluing things down. It can be a very illuminating process if we really give ourselves over to it. And this series is going to bring you guys along as I explore different concepts, and imperfection seemed like a great starting point for that, because it is one that I know so many creatives struggle with. The idea of showing up imperfectly so we don't show up at all. I am here to encourage you to show up. Your art wants you to show up. Your art needs you to show up, and the rest of us need you to show up, because we all need to be engaging with the world creatively. And so it is here that I will leave you to traverse your own creative meditation. I hope that you enjoy watching the rest of this process, and I can't wait to see what kind of art it is that you make, as imperfect as it may be.